The Root Cellar by MMHorrorStories. 1. The Farm. I inherited the farm from my Uncle Martin, a man I barely knew and never liked. He died alone, apparently, on his land in Hollow Creek, Missouri. No wife, no kids, just a dusty stretch of farmland, an old Victorian house, and a crumbling barn. When I arrived, the locals treated me with a mix of pity and fear. One old man at the gas station shook his head when I told him where I was headed. "That land don't forget," he said. I laughed it off. By the time I reached the house, the sun had dipped behind the cornfields, and the wind had gone still. The house looked older than time. Peeling paint, broken shutters, and the smell of mildew seeping from the walls. But it was mine now. I should have left the moment I heard the knocking from the cellar. 2. Uncle Martin's will. The lawyer said Martin left everything to me, but he added a strange clause. The cellar must remain locked, perpetually, no exceptions. I assumed it was some eccentricity. He'd always been weird, paranoid, reclusive, the kind of man who boarded up windows and whispered to himself. The door to the cellar was heavy and ironclad, with 3 deadbolts and a thick rusted chain. A padlock the size of my hand held it shut. Curiosity itched at me, but I left it alone, for a while. That first night, I heard scratching beneath the floorboards. Slow, deliberate, like fingers. 3. The Root Cellar. On the 3rd day, I broke the lock. Of course I did. You would have too. A man dies, leaves you a mystery, and expects you to not look? I wanted to know what he was hiding. The air that rushed out smelled like earth and rot. Cold, damp, like the inside of a grave. Steps led down into the darkness, deeper than any cellar should go. I expected tools, maybe preserves. Instead, I found bones. Dozens. Hundreds. Animal mostly, but not all. Some were too long. Too narrow. One looked a lot like a human femur snapped clean in half. At the far end of the cellar was a wooden door. It was breathing. 4. The journal. I found Martin's journal behind a loose panel in the attic. Its pages were warped, stained, and almost entirely incoherent, except for the final entries. It came up from the roots. Not a man, not a beast, but something old. It wears their faces, talks like them, but it's not them. Never was. It lives off blood, memory, wants to belong, wants to be family. Don't feed it. Don't talk to it. Don't open the cellar. I flipped the page. It was blank, except for a single phrase scrawled in thick, red ink. It knows you now. 5. The voice. That night, I heard my mother's voice coming from the cellar. She's been dead for 12 years. But there she was, soft, gentle, singing the lullaby she used to hum when I had nightmares. I froze. The floor vibrated softly with each note. "Come down, baby," she whispered. "I missed you." I locked the cellar again, chained it, bolted it, even dragged a dresser over the door. It didn't matter. At 3:13 a.m., the singing started again. This time it used my voice. 6. The farm hands. I hired 2 local men to help clear the barn. Jake and Travis. Good guys. Strong. Young. They stayed one day. That evening, I found them sitting in their truck, pale and silent. Jake lit a cigarette with shaking hands. "You didn't tell us you got a copy," he muttered. "A what?" Travis wouldn't look me in the eye. "Of yourself," he said. "Whatever's in that cellar. Looks like you." They never came back. 7. The thing below. The knocking started again. Always at night. Always from beneath. Not frantic. Not angry. Polite. Rhythmic. Like it was asking for permission. I began to see shapes in the cornfield. A man maybe, but too tall. Too thin. His face turned away just long enough for me to doubt what I saw. But I'd find footprints the next morning. Bare. Deep. And pointing toward the house. 8. Blood in the walls. I woke one night to the sound of weeping. Checked every room. Nothing. But the walls were damp. Bleeding. A thin red line trickled from the corner where the ceiling met the molding. I peeled back the wallpaper. Behind it were names scratched into the wood. Dozens of them. Hundreds. The Harpers. The Millers. The Knox family. And near the bottom, freshly carved, Daniel Wren. My name. 9. The mirror game. The thing below learned fast. Started small, mimicking my voice in another room, finishing sentences before I spoke them. But then it began to use my memories. Private things. Painful things. One night, I caught my reflection, still smiling after I'd stopped. And then it said, "You were always meant to come back. This was your blood before it was Martin's. Come downstairs. Let me remember with you." 10. The return. I tried to leave. Car died. Phone dead. Maps led nowhere. Roads folded back into each other. Even when I walked, I ended up back at the porch. The house wouldn't let me go. I wasn't a visitor anymore. I belonged. 11. The family tree. The truth came slowly. Martin wasn't my uncle. He was my father's twin. A fact erased from all public records. I found birth certificates in the attic, hidden beneath the floorboards. Photos of my father and Martin as boys. But Martin was always just off. Pale. Wide-eyed. Unsmiling. A note pinned to the last photo read, "Only one of us was born human." 12. The root beneath. I descended the cellar one last time. The door at the far end had split open. Beyond it, dirt walls. Thick roots. A smell of iron and wet leaves. And something pulsing. A shape made of faces, dozens, all merged into bark and sinew. Whispering in harmony. At the center was a new face. Mine. It opened its mouth and said, "Stay. We remember you now." 13. The final entry. If you're reading this, the house has let you in. That means it wants you next. You'll hear them soon. The voices of your family. They'll tell you it's safe. That it's only a cellar. Only a house. But it's older than that. It feeds on bloodlines. On memory. On resemblance. And it loves new roots to grow from.